The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, has expressed fear that insecurity, fake news and monetization of the electoral process may derail the 2023 general elections. The Inec boss raised the concerns at a one-day colloquium in Abuja on emerging issues that will shape the 2023 general elections. Arise News correspondent Chinaza Samuel put together this report.
With less than a year to the commencement of the 2023 general election, the Independent National Electoral Commission is putting measures in place to ensure credible and acceptable elections. However, from the worsening insecurity the country faces now to the monetization of the electoral process and the reckless use of social media to disseminate fake news, the electoral body appears to be facing an uphill task in executing its mandate.
The task of conducting an election is simply enormous. Our country is huge, really huge. You wouldn't know the problem you are grappling with until you are involved in conducting elections.
They are deliberating on how to tackle challenges that may mar the process.
There are no easy solutions. And that's why an interaction like this is very, very critical. I find it very difficult to put the lives of people's children in the harm's way.
Targeting at least 90 million voters, the electoral body says the goal is simply to strengthen the Nigeria's democracy and increase voter turnout compared to previous election years.
This is a very important election for us as a country. The 7th election to be conducted in the 4th Republic, and even without an incumbent running, this will be the second. After Obasanjo, this will be the second transition we'll actually be witnessing again.
For security agencies, no amount of threat by non-state actors will stop the process.
We cannot give in to threats from these non-state actors. They can't dictate. They can only say what they want to say. But when the chips are down, elections will hold and nobody will come out.
Speakers here all agree that more needs to be done to improve the electoral process in the country. After over 8 hours of deliberations, it is hoped that Nigeria and its electoral body will get it right at the 2023 general election.
Well, joining us now in the studio for more on this is the Director of Policy and Engagement, Open Society Foundation's Africa, George Kegoro. Thank you so much for joining us.
We need to actually add here that he is a Kenyan and he's been here for 3 days.
And it's his first time in Nigeria.
It's his first time, yes, exactly.
Let me begin by asking you, how has your stay been like so far?
Yes.
I mean, you are for Open Society. Would you say Nigeria is open enough?
A fabulous stay. Thank you very much for welcoming me to your studio. Fabulous stay and fabulous people and fabulous food. I would say that Nigeria is trying from all the accounts I have, and there are challenges still, but there are things that Nigeria has gotten well. And when I spoke today, I said that one of the things that Nigeria has got well is raising the civic courage necessary to protect its democracy, and that is something that should be an export by Nigeria to the rest of the continent.
Would you say the political actors themselves are doing well from, your standpoint? I know that Inec raised the issue of security, fake news, monetization of the electoral process, especially. Let's narrow it down to that. The politicians, they've been accused of monetizing the electoral process. What are your thoughts on that? Is that what you're observing? Is that what you're seeing?
Unfortunately, that is a common trend across the continent, every part of the continent. There's a whole trend of politics has become very expensive, and people who then engage in politics are forced, especially in the context of a lack of official funding, government funding for political parties or political party activity. They enter into relationships with funders, people who finance politics. And those funders or financiers have an expectation that there will be a return for them for financing the political activities of the actual politicians. That then sets in place a process of really a competition for who funds more and who therefore has more expectations. Unfortunately, that then also drives violence, because the other side of the funding of politics or financial, the other side of money is violence. If you can't have your way by sort of buying it, then you have your way by the use of force. Unfortunately, these are common trends across the continent, and it is not surprising that that is a problem here in Nigeria. That is not to say that it should be excused. It really should be understood in the context that it is part of the struggle of African democracy at this time.
Do you think there's a way out of it? I mean, what role do you think, even the electoral umpire, in the case of Nigeria, it is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. What role can the umpire play in the case of Nigeria?
I think that the umpire, it's not for the umpires, to play that role. It's really for society to say, do we want political parties to be, do we want our politics to be funded? How do we want the politics to be funded? Are we going to provide for it using public resources, or are we going to allow privateers to control the politics because they fund it? Then the umpire, which is INEC in the case of Nigeria, will enforce a set of rules that society has decided will govern it. So they will do what society says they want to do. For the time being, society has said, we don't care how politics is going to be funded, and therefore INEC is powerless to change the rules if society is not involved in a debate about how politics should be funded.
Let me put you on the spot. How would you describe Nigeria's jollof rice? Very quickly.
It's fabulous.
Fabulous. That's a great place to live it. Thank you so much for joining us on the news tonight.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.